Good day, viewers. It is 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. Welcome to a new edition of the program with me, Manir Dan Ali. Our guest today is a former Minister of the Federal Republic and former President of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. I'm talking about architect Gabriel Adukwu. He is also currently the president of the Arewa Consultative Forum. He is here today more because of the cap that he wears as chair of the Kogi East Elders Forum, because we are on the eve of an important election in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states. And he's been expressing a lot of concern about the run-up to the elections in Kogi. Chief Adukwu, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Munir.
I know you wear many caps, but I am hoping we will restrict it to the issue of Kogi for this particular program. We are on the eve of the election. It's just a few days away now. And for some time now, you've been expressing concern, especially about violence, about the unevenness of the political terrain and what have you. Is it because you are feeling defeated even before the day of the election? That is why you are crying wolf, where maybe there is none?
Wow. The wolf is around everywhere. Anybody can notice it and can feel it, whether you are from Kogi or not. I'll be surprised if people can say that there is no need to fear in Kogi State. The issue of violence at election has been, an established tradition for the past 3-4 sessions of elections in Kogi State.
You mean it's not just about this particular election?
It's not just about this.
They've been concerned about violence in previous elections? In
previous elections. From 2000 and, it got worse in 2019 and all through today.
Are you trying to pin it on the present government? Because that is what it means if you are talking of 2019 election
Yes.
And this current one that is about to hold.
Yes. I'm saying it with practical experience. And I show it to you right here. For 3 consecutive sessions of elections in Kogi State, I'd come out to do a peace walk. No violence at election should be permitted. I did that, but all was to no effect. And for that reason, this particular one that is challenging us in the next few days has demonstrated that, yes, nothing short of violence they will do to get election done.
But will the people listen to you?
That is the concern of quite a number of us because of the pronouncement of the chief executive of Kogi State to replace himself, with one that perhaps is like his image, like continuing the 3rd term.
But is it not his legitimate right to aspire to have someone whom he supports become his successor? Is it not legitimate under normal electoral rules?
Yes, you can say there is freedom, but there is freedom of choice. And if you are talking true politics or true democracy, it is the choice of the people, not the choice of the leader, really. Because it is about ruling the people who have the mind to rule, not with somebody that is imposed to rule them. That will answer them.
But nothing will emerge until after the election. Election day is still some days away.
Yes.
So why are you so fearful? Some will say maybe it's because you are unsure of maybe the side you support.
No. The worry really is not about the election, but the methodology of the election. And how it's got into the blood of people, particularly the young ones, making election an entrepreneur and waiting for it to be a violent one, whether you like it or not. carrying the boxes, firing the people, disrupting, deliberately using power as available.
But does it matter with the current electoral rules whereby wherever there is violence, that complete polling unit is disregarded when you are counting? So, I mean, it doesn't matter even if people steal boxes.
That's a theoretical statement. If there are so many laws to protect me and you as citizens of this country, but haven't we fall victim in a number of places, and it goes silent? So this election is so crucial. It's crucial for Kogi State in the sense that there has been utterances from the power that be that sort of restricts freedom, restricts the civic right of an individual, you know, to express himself at election time, which is a right.
I know there have been cases of attack, especially against the Social Democratic Party, its offices, its candidates, its like rallies and all of that. But is that enough to generalize and say that the whole Kogi atmosphere is fouled up with violence?
If I just remind you slightly, there was an election in Kogi State, and in particular of local government, and in a specific place called Ejule District.
In which local government?
That is of local government, they call it.
That is in the Igala-speaking area
in
of
the
Kogi
Kogi
State.
East area, yes,
Right.
Igala-speaking.
Yes.
In course of an election, particularly of the current administration, a housewife who was loud in politics was burnt alive in daytime through political violence.
Are you talking of the woman PDP leader that was killed on the eve of some election about 2-3 years back?
Precisely.
But that's one incident.
That was the second coming of the current administration.
But that's one incident. Can you use a single incident to generalize about a
I've
state?
only brought that one out. There are others that are a series of them. If we want to name it, I can call for it and we'll begin to talk all of it around. And you will convince yourself that yes, it was a recurring thing. And it reached that kind of level that is so crucial. That's why I told you that when I started noticing that violence is being made part of an election in Kogi State, and particularly Kogi East.
But why Kogi East?
I don't know.
Is it because you are not voting alongside the interests of the sitting government, or is it because of some other reason?
One, Kogi State is blessed with very good people all over it. But by nature, we belong to groups. Like Kogi East is largely Igala people. There are other small groups there. Kogi Central is largely Ibira people. And Kogi West, as we call it, is largely Yoruba elements. So these are distinct groups that God has put together in that wealthy, nice state. Why wouldn't they relate well? Why would they have to resort to violence to put their leader in place? This is the question.
But the other question that could be raised is, why is it that those of you who've been out of power, say Kogi East, and the Yoruba-speaking part of Kogi State,
yes,
which have been more or less ruled by the Ibira-speaking part of the state, why can't the two of you align and maybe face the incumbent, whoever it may be? Or is it because you can't tolerate each other?
No. Kogi State, we can tolerate each other. I have been in Kogi from its inception to now. In fact, I was a small boy, went to secondary school in the central area. I call it specifically Okene. In our time, you cannot have anything better. It used to be called Kaba province. We were all in the northern self-government at that time, you know, which was a fantastic government. And the school was well managed in attitude, in performance, in everything. So we all related, these two groups mainly, and other smaller tribes at all. So like a family.
So what happened? Why is it?
That is the kind of democracy we brought on ourselves. It's not peculiar to Kogi State that there is violence. We are not. It has been almost from the start of our independence. Operation Wetye. Have you heard of that before?
The one in Western Nigeria.
Yes.
Right.
Why should it happen that way? You know, and on progressively, and get worse in the way we look at it. No, it does not help any time. Anyone you put in government through violence will not behave well in relation to the people they are supposed to serve.
But
that is the principle which I work against.
Yeah, the Kogi State government has pushed back against your stance. The spokesman of the governor has come out to say, look, disregard what this person is saying. It's just the antics of people who may have felt defeated even from the beginning.
Right. If you are in position and you are interested in who is coming to replace you because of an incubated process which you look forward to, and you are so desperate to do that, will you not tell the public that no, whatever you say to the public should accept you as a leader? But in the actual sense, those of us who have been on ground have noticed, and by the grace of God, I'm aged enough to know when there is peace and when there is crisis, and when the potential crisis is very clear, based on a desperate position to install a leader which may not necessarily be an acceptable leader to the people.
But have you tried building consensus among elders like yourself, that is elders from the other parts of the state, so it's not only you alone that is talking about this possible violence?
Me alone, it can never be me alone. It must be a cross-fertilized decision. It's a cross-fertilized thing.
I haven't seen a story or a report which says all Kogi elders have sat together and have expressed this particular concern. But I've seen yours in several instances.
They have been. Not all communications at that level are publishable. It's just now, what's the attitude of people receiving information from elders? There has been a deterioration, we must say it, in the atmosphere of politics, not just Kogi State, it's all over, that certain decisions of elders are kept as elders and advisory to the young ones that are in. That's what we do largely. It's not for the press to largely. But by the time they go into action, they should see a reflection of what the elders are doing. And those who are in obedience will let you see them. Those who are recalcitrant, you can always also see them.
But sometimes the certain governments, the certain authorities say that, look, these elders are meddlesome. They have had their time and they want to keep interfering in our own show.
It's up to them. The nature, your creator who gives you time on earth, knows what he has assigned you to do when you are coming on earth. And if you conduct yourself well, you know, in terms of honoring who created you, and you are worried about certain behaviors that don't go well, even with your creator, you have to do something. You have to do something. So when you have elders, they have responsibility to guide the young ones. But if the young ones say no, they won't take elders something, there's something wrong somewhere.
I think on that note, we'll go on a short break and resume the conversation thereafter. Welcome back. It is still 30 minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. Before we went on break, you were being philosophical about the role of elders in giving advice to the younger ones and also in interfering in the polity when they feel that things are not going right. How do you think things could go right, especially with this election? What will you want to see to be convinced that, your fears will not come to pass?
Yes. Because of the desperate nature, of taking power and using it because power is concentrated, which is being displayed in not just 1 month. We've seen it. Because of that, the intervention that we are talking about becomes very necessary. We have to appeal to the nation to take a very careful look at what could happen during election. And as I've told you, 1, 2, 3 consistent elections I've watched myself. The third one, I was there. It's there. So what happened should not be tolerated. And that is the main subject we are talking. So if I appeal as an elder and a senior elder in Kogi East, charged with perhaps keeping an eye on these young ones who want to go into position, I have a right, when I see something getting out of the way, to go to the next level of authority to make them know what is likely to happen and put incidences for them to also to say, convince them that yes, if they don't take care, something beyond imaginable could happen, and it should not. And an example of it is what I gave you earlier. But the woman that was burnt as a result of violence at the election, is it not painful? Are they not a family people? What will the husband and the children, what will they look after? What is election all about? Must we kill ourselves?
But there is so much benefit to take for those who are successful. So they appear to think that everything could be done to grab power and hold it.
That's when something is fundamentally wrong. And the idea of driving peace becomes paramount. If we cannot drive peace amongst ourselves, perhaps even us who speak the same language, we get derailed into that kind of behavior. Something is basically wrong. That means that there has to be a move on part of us who are elders to bring them together and realize that if we continue this kind of fight, we are defeating the progress of our location, of our state, or for wherever you come from. You are defeating the progress, because no place can move with violence. There is no progress you can make with violence. Really, if you continue to advance on it, can you imagine a young boy who is trained to use AK-47? I don't know what the AK-47 is, but it must be a sophisticated gun. Untrained, and it's all over the place. Who brought it in? I remember when we were growing up, there was an illegal, it's totally having an arm. It's illegal. And they always cry of recovering illegal arms.
But as you did say,
today is a commonplace. Who brought it there?
As you did say, it's been there for some time. Yes. I remember a former governor of the same Kogi state telling me that he went home for an election, and when he tried to go to the polling station, there are these AK-47 welding young people who told him, Baba, go back home. Yes. Let us deal with the matter. We will vote on your behalf.
Yes.
Is that the kind of situation that is growing in the state?
It is growing, and it was getting to a climax that the nation must know that Kogi should not be on fire because of election. There is more to get out of Kogi than election. For God's sake, that is the thing we are driving. That is our concern. And I'm particularly concerned to watch it in my own lifetime, because to see violence are such golden opportunities to put leadership that, by civil rights, you do through voting in a simple manner.
But will you turn up in your own hometown to vote this time around?
I'm there. I will be there. When they kill me this time, that's the end of the matter. But I believe it will not happen, because we've cried out enough right to the top of government that they should be aware of what could happen in Kogi State and come out and defend us who are armless. We have no arms. We want to vote. I'm going home without arms, without any protection, and I want to go and vote as a civil right. That's my civic right.
I've seen that you've used the platform of the ACF, the Arewa Consultative Forum, to visit the Chief of Defense Staff and lay all this.
I didn't use that platform. I used my personal platform. It just happened that I got elected into that position while we are still in the process of advising our people against violence, advising them on how to relate, to have a peaceful election, and every part of the state will be happy with themselves that they elected their right leader. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
What was the response of the Chief of Defense Staff to your complaint about this concern of violence? What was his response? Did he reason with you, or he just did what the civil servants say, keep it in view?
No. I would have loved to reserve my comment on that until we see the end of it. But the hands that we are seeing so far encourages us to know that at the end of the day, and by the grace of God, it will be a peaceful election, one of the best in the country. Because they have been alerted early enough to prepare for it.
Are you encouraged by the recent visit of the Chief of Defense Staff himself? Because I've seen him in Kogi just a few days ago.
And he's continued to Bayelsa.
All the election
all about this places. Election issue.
Bayelsa, Imo, and
it
Kogi.
Just happens that I come from Kogi. But it's a concern for the whole nation, everywhere. For God's sake, let us be a civilized country. If we don't become a civilized country, we can't join other nations successfully. And one of the things to do is to advance on our technology of voting, to see that you can hide in your toilet and do your voting, or lie on your bed and do anywhere. Technology is going to allow it. But for God's sake, let us settle to know that peace is important in anything we want to do. And that's the main cause. If we are to have peace, there should be no violence at elections anytime. Because that's one of the areas that generates discordance amongst people, amongst friends, amongst relations, discordance.
Actually, that's the point I want us to go to, that why is it that we are just fixated on the elections, and as soon as we finish one cycle, we are getting fixed on the next cycle, and
yes,
it's just election for election's sake. There isn't much development happening.
Yes.
The country is in such dire straits, and the politicians are the only ones that seems to be doing well.
Yes. So
why is it so?
That's the attitude we are building up. And we have been finding it difficult to join nations that are called nations. Yes, we have all the brilliancies and everything, but some little tidy things like simple election, it should be a simple thing, we are not able to manage because of self-interest and not really perhaps have the full concept of the governance you are going in, except to see how people satisfy themselves and their relations and whatever they want to amass. We have to change our attitude. Character has to change.
So all this...
So what we do in Kogi, to make it, an election that is totally peaceful this time, will show the light to all Nigerians, anywhere they are, that peaceful election is important for progress.
Who do you hold responsible for conducting peaceful election? Is it just the state government, INEC, the Independent Electoral Commission, the security services and forces, the citizens, or is it just...
I can't pin it on anybody.
Who?
I can't pin it on anyone. But everybody has his portion of faults down the line. Everybody has. But for an old man like me to watch that kind of thing going till I die and nothing happens, to bring sanity into this system that we have decided to carry, that is this kind of democracy, not living in the native authority ways that we were perhaps brought up, which was beautiful, but come on to leadership in this kind of structure to fit a democracy that we've imposed on ourselves. Let us straighten it out and know the use of this kind that we put on ourselves by eliminating violence at elections.
So with the way things are,
yes,
will you say then that this current republic, 20 years plus, has it encouraged you, or are you disappointed?
We are all struggling in it. We are all struggling to find our feet. That's all I can say now. Everybody is struggling. Since we got this independence, we have not stopped struggling. But the thing is that most Nigerians subscribe to being a Nigerian now. And for us to sustain it, peace must come inside. Election periods, do it peacefully, and there will be no anger between me and you that will degenerate into us hating ourselves, into us depriving ourselves of opportunities because you don't belong to my party, I've won, I took me this thing to win, therefore I must corner everything. No.
But the younger people don't have the kind of confidence you have, because they seem to think that things are just deteriorating.
That is why we
are trying to save themselves by just exiting the country.
Talking to them in this direction. We are talking to them. Violence does not pay. Our people have a language that says the fighter's home is ever a desert. Somebody who takes to fighting to get whatever he wants, at the end of the day, you have no children, you have nothing to back up with. Examples are all over the places to see. So why adopt that kind of system? To put a lovely government in place, a government that anybody can approach. It doesn't matter which party you come up from. But if you are a likable candidate, it doesn't matter. Any party, it comes out. And it will be such a free, lovely area for people to operate with their conscience free. And we'll make substantive progress.
On a final note,
yes,
what will you hope to see come out of this election?
From all the efforts that we have put in to enlighten people about the advantage of a non-violence election in Kogi State, and perhaps Bayelsa and all of it, and also to make a good start for the next set of elections that we will have in Nigeria, that there must be this sincerity of purpose.
Thank you very much, Chief Gabriel Adukwu,
thank you
for coming on the program.
Thank you, Murni, for inviting me.
Viewers, that is the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep a date with us.